Hey, what's going on? Have you heard about our radio show? That's right, there's a medical marijuana radio show, and I do it for you every Thursday night at 8:30. There's a medical marijuana radio show, and I do it for you every Thursday night at 8:30.
Hello, this is Stuart Richland from 420lawoffice.com. And today I'd like to speak with you about Attorney General Holder's new announcement that the federal government is not going to look too kindly upon Prop 19, or legal marijuana in California. The announcement came out today that Mr. Holder has written a letter to the various attorneys of the Department of Justice in which he's taken the position that just because marijuana may be legal in the state doesn't mean that the feds won't continue to enforce against marijuana, for the reasons that legalizing marijuana would significantly interfere with law enforcement activities against other drugs. I personally disagree because I think we don't have the resources any longer to continue to waste money, and I think it's a crime to put people in jail for marijuana. Our economy is in the toilet, folks, as you know, and the idea that our government would still consider it a high priority to arrest people here in the state of California if they're acting under the law in California is quite unfortunate. But I can understand the reason why Mr. Holder has taken this position. In fact, even our California courts have held that the reason that medical marijuana is permissible is because it doesn't positively conflict with federal law. It's just a small exception for sick people. Obviously, legal marijuana directly conflicts with federal law. So, of course, we've had civil wars in this country about such things. When states insist upon exercising their rights, in the area of slavery, of course, it was morally supportable for the North to go to war to free the slaves and to end that form of economy. But the question is, well, are pot people about to go to war? Is anyone really going to have a civil war over marijuana? Or are we going to continue to sort of have this uneasy truce in which the federal government for the most part stands down, but they can selectively enforce the law at any time against anyone, which is really a breeding ground for unfairness and for corruption. So anyway, that's the latest. The feds, even if we pass California's Prop 19, the feds are likely to take it none too well. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, don't hit the panic switch. You know, sometimes the federal government has been known to bluff. For instance, during the Bush administration, the federal government sent warning letters to the landlords of hundreds of medical marijuana dispensaries, threatening jail, forfeiture, and gigantic sums of money as fines. It turned out, though, that during the entire Bush administration, even on to the Obama administration, the federal government has not acted on those letters. Although they certainly upset a lot of people, they made some landlords evict the medical marijuana collectives, or try to. And those of you that know a lot about this station and my office know that we represented in excess of 20 of the collectives when they were threatened with eviction, and we had a 100% success rate, the reason being that California courts must follow California law. And that's a very well settled doctrine. So again, it appears as though the breeding ground is set for a conflict of law in which the same activity is going to be considered perfectly legal if you're in a state court in the county, and that state judge will have to follow state law, whereas if you're in a federal court in the very same county, the very same activity will be considered a felony. Well, I'm sorry to say that that's a confusing position for marijuana people, and it's probably a great position for marijuana lawyers. And I'm not happy to say that this is going to create more confusion, more lawsuits, more arrests, and we'd really like to see that end. So I hope that you're continuing to analyze the news and take it all with a grain of salt, because we'll not really know what's going to happen until the fat lady sings. And one more thing is, it's very obvious that we now must focus activity on federal reform. Congress has not reformed medical marijuana law since the days of Reefer Madness, and keeping marijuana in Schedule I really has no rational basis. The reality is that there is a very strong medical use for marijuana, and it would be great if we could get Congress to do something about it. Unfortunately, I don't think that that's probably in the cards yet. Of course, we can always have a constitutional amendment. That's going to require 2/3 of conventions and 3/4 of the vote. It's not very likely to happen. Well, take good care, And keep studying the law, and check out our website for lots of information, 420lawoffice.com. Take care.
Hey, what's going on? Have you heard about our radio show? That's right, there's a medical marijuana radio show, and I do it for you every Thursday night at 8:30. In fact, the podcast is available ahead of time every week, and you can get it at 420lawoffice.com. Just click 420 Radio Show, and you can download the podcast, and you can subscribe by clicking a button, and it's going to show up in your phone or in your iPod. So be sure to check out 420 Law Office Radio. I think you'll find it's rocking. All right, take good care.